but maybe coming back to a question about capacity which was raised. One of the things we have within our regulatory system is very much a just-in-time model for remuneration. So there's a prize on saying you don't have capacity in any time ahead of what you need it. In fact, you're penalised for it. And a classic example of that is that 10 years after Terminal 2 was opened, the last one-third of it was remunerated for the first time, because in the decision of the regulator at the time, T2 was too big. Now, I think when we look at airport infrastructure, there are lots of different components, and it's a bit of a jigsaw. You have a runway, that adds runway capacity, but it doesn't add terminal capacity. So our job is to keep providing this infrastructure in anticipation of the demand of the economy, the demand of the public, the demand of tourism, etc. But what we haven't had at a policy level for any of our airports is that question as to whether we should have more capacity than we need today, but comfortable for the next 10 years ahead, or just enough capacity in 10 years from now as we might need then, which is where we're at the moment.
Is your capacity defined at the moment?
Sorry?
What is your capacity?
It's very difficult to define capacity in any single block because of all of the different components, and you can be over the requirement in some areas and yet constrained in others, which becomes the limiting factor. Until we built the runway, our limiting factor was the number of aircraft that could take off, particularly in peak times in the day. That issue is resolved, but it creates a different bottleneck and a different sizing of capacity. So it's not a straightforward answer to give, and I think in a policy context we can approach it in a lot more complex way. Just to give you a context, we are very proud to serve the whole of Ireland. In fact, the whole island of Ireland. For example, more people visit Northern Ireland from outside of the UK through Dublin Airport than any of their local airports, and that's because we have the sort of long haul and connectivity to destinations around the world that make us a much more attractive option in Dublin Airport than transferring, for example, through Heathrow. However, I would say that it might surprise people that from the residents that use Dublin Airport, 70% of our business comes from people who live in Leinster. So, in terms of the core catchment, we are fulfilling their needs, and we are fulfilling the need of a capital city airport for the rest of the country. And clearly, if one wants to get a direct flight from Ireland, a country, an island with 6.5 million people, to somewhere like Dubai or Hong Kong, you would not expect in a country like that to get that from multiple destinations. So I think we are proud and will absolutely promote and make people aware of our route network. If that comes across as aggressive marketing, that's not our intention, but it is certainly creating the awareness of the services that are available in the context of the discussions that we've had before about mobility. It is important that we advertise to people how to get to Dublin Airport. I know that there have been comments in the past about promoting bus services from parts of the country to the airport. One of the ways that we stop people driving cars is by creating awareness and usage of the bus services. So we wouldn't necessarily apologise for any of that type of promotion and awareness, but as I said, we're operating with a core catchment and then a reach into the rest of the country, which increasingly is more for the sort of services that are available in the capital city airport only. And we wish every airport, obviously including Cork Airport, well in terms of building its regional structure from its own catchment.